Ready? Good morning, everyone. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, June the 2nd, 2020. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, May 29th, 2020 at 11 a.m. and a supplemental agenda was posted on Friday, May 29th, 2020 at 4 p.m.
Thank you. Let's briefly pause for a moment of silence, and then we'll have the pledge to the flags. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
pledge to protect the flag, honor and protect the flag.
This flag, pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, at this time, if there's any members of the audience, I don't believe we had any requests or call-ins for public comment, but if there's anyone who wants to speak to the court on business matters, please do so at this time. Seeing none, under proclamations, I do not have any proclamations this morning. Going to the consent agenda, recommended pulls are E2A, E3B, and E6B. Is there any other pulls recommended by the court? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of those pulls? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones. Carried.
Pass. Okay, going, let's see, is Chris Collins called in yet? Oh, okay, so she will be in person in court. She's not here yet, so I will go to under E3A, maintenance of equipment position. And there's a, under E3A is maintenance of equipment, discussion or action regarding the replacement of director, including but not limited to moving the functions or part of the functions under a different department. Interim management director or replacement process for job description changes or updated or related matters. So I think the Sheriff's Department's got a presentation to make at this time, so you'll come forward to do that. Good morning.
Captain Nixon's going to pass out some research that we did on the department, on the budgets and so forth. We feel that the maintenance of buildings should fall under the sheriff's office at this time. Captain Nixon, the supervisor, the sergeants, to help supervise the daily operations of that area. The maintenance shop was moved to the jail property at Eflin, as everybody knows. It's housed under the building in our special operations unit. Also housing, Captain Dixon, current supervisors, and we feel this would be the best way to approach this. 90% of the work that's done out of the maintenance of the equipment falls under the sheriff's office. They do actually work with the sheriff's office, all the departments, minus the sign shop. So everything else, majority of the work is with the sheriff's office. So with us taking over, looking at office of service, there would be any changes. Anybody that needs service on vehicles, same procedure we call, same thing, no preferential treatment.
Get close to that microphone. Yeah.
There'll be no preferential treatment, everything will stay the same as the current contract.
Okay.
So, all that Captain Dixon speaks about the day.
Okay. Good morning, sir.
Like Major Armstrong mentioned, I will be out at that building, major portion of our special operations unit is moving out there. As far as day-to-day operations, day-to-day supervision of the maintenance equipment, we're asking them to start in position for that place. You will replace Wayne's position. The last page, what I've given you is a comparison to Wayne's salary compared to the sergeant's salary, and there would be some savings in that. But speaking with Wayne on numerous occasions, he also felt that because of the type of work done by the technicians out there, that day-to-day supervision is very close supervision is needed. So we're asking that we be able to replace that position. I've spoken with Judge Felton and Commissioner Perry a little bit on this, but my background, I do have an electronics background with TSTC back in the 80s, and did have a strong background in 12 volt as well as AC electronics. I also have a pretty strong background in mechanical, so I feel that I'd be very well suited for that position because I do know a lot about the stuff we do out there on a daily basis. I've spoken with the technicians out there. I feel like we have two really good radio technicians in Dustin and John, who have strong backgrounds. Dustin is very good asset to the department. He's very up on later technology, newer technology. Very willing to learn what he doesn't know.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, are there any questions?
Then currently, in programming our, some of our radios, or I guess our handhelds, city of Waco has been helping us out with that.
My understanding currently,
Yeah, and so that's something we're gonna look at and see how we go forward. Today, we can make a decision on this. If we don't, we need to select an interim until we get any additional information that we might want to make a decision about that. But this time, are there any questions from Commissioners Court?
I didn't fully hear Captain Armstrong. He's coming in and out, so I'm not exactly sure of what he just said to the court. Because I couldn't hear him clearly.
I couldn't either, could barely hear him.
Okay. Well, I think primarily, if I can kind of rephrase what he was saying, is that the sheriff's department, and specifically at the location of the jail, that they would take on the responsibility of managing that shop. The shop is now physically located on that piece of property. By far a larger percentage of vehicle maintenance is the sheriff's department's vehicles. The structure would be that Captain Sean Nixon would oversee that and has a sergeant that would fit that bill to be able to manage primarily this automobile side of it. But and other rolling stock equipment that's being maintained. And then they have, Wayne's got some good personnel in place right now that are highly technical, and the plan would be as we're going into expanding our communications with our physical towers and those things, that Motorola provides some training as well, and that Captain Nixon would determine what additional training need to be put into place with the staff, and feel confident they can handle all the things that Wayne was doing. You know, one other thing is a lot of the jail security equipment was maintained by maintenance equipment, or Wayne's World, as we call it. And so they, being on that location would make sure that you know, they can be very reactive to any breakdowns and those things. The only thing that's still in trying to figure out is the programming of the handhelds, because Wayne was having software issues over the last couple of years, and doing that the city would do that for us. It has been doing it for us. Larry Blair, who is Wayne's counterpart at the city, is also retiring at the end of the year, December, some date in December. And so those would be part of the discussions, that if we make this move, that Captain Nixon and his staff would help us determine you know, how we want to go forward with programming radios. You know, I think our intent is, everyone knows, we've been working for the last several years to get our radio equipment, our communication and operability to be broadened, have more life safety issues handled out in the community, and we really need a good team to put that together. So that's their request, and so if you have, was there anything I need to change on that? Did I say that about right? Okay. So any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Perry?
Comment real quickly in that, after visiting with the two of them, I personally think it's the right move. It makes sense from both an efficiency and a budget standpoint, but it's a big move as well. And I certainly understand if there's questions the commissioners might have, because it is a big move. Basically eliminating a department that we've had for quite some time and moving it into the umbrella of the sheriff's office. So anyway, but it does appear to be the best thing we can do.
Who would take over like the sound systems, courtroom equipment?
We would continue to take care of that.
I understand all the obligations that maintenance of equipment have with the sheriff's office, but who would be the coordinator of those services they gave to the Road and Bridge Department? And also, who would be the site person on that tower project out at Road and Bridge Precinct 2?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So-
Commissioner, could you hear?
Commissioner Miller, the sergeant we're asking for would be the coordinator between Road and Bridge and the other departments within the county to take care of everything. And I think the judge would have to speak to the coordinator on the site in Tower Precinct 2, the tower site.
Well, I mean, right now, Wayne was, Motorola and a contractor puts a tower up, but the, what do you call it, the substation or whatever, you know, Wayne would be the one working on installation of that. But Ken, you may know, but we also use third-party vendors.
Yes, sir. Wayne has been the coordinator. And so what we've been in discussions here the last bit is that I brought in TJ Jackson to kind of help do some of that coordination. I had long discussions with Wayne last week, and John is familiar with what needs to.
And John that works for Wayne, John Strunk.
And, we're gonna try to pull together and all help each other try to coordinate this to make it all happen. You know, there's different aspects to it, you know, from pouring a concrete slab for the shelter, the generator, there's putting in different electrical work, and we'll just try to get the right contractors to do the work. And that, we've been having meetings on that, even as of yesterday, we had a higher meeting with Frank Patterson and City of Waco, and we're all gonna try to work together to try to keep this moving forward.
And at the determination of the court, I would be happy to step in as well and help with that.
Okay.
It would be appreciated.
My only concern would be that I don't want Road and Bridge to be an afterthought. I do understand the responsibilities from maintenance of equipment to the sheriff's office, but maintenance of equipment does more than just those functionings with the sheriff's office. So I'm not ready to say recreate maintenance of equipment and put it under the sheriff's office. If we're just talking about in the interim, how we're going to move forward while we look at replacing that position, that's one thing. But if we're looking at reshaping it and putting that whole department within the sheriff's office, I don't see it as a good idea because of all of the other functionings that maintenance of equipment did. I'm very concerned about my tower project, and I know it was moving along smoothly with Wayne and his department, in spite of the fact that he did have a lot of responsibilities with the sheriff's office. I guess I haven't seen the plan, I haven't heard enough, but I wouldn't be in favor of doing away with maintenance of equipment. And I wouldn't be in favor of not replacing Wayne with another department head position.
Okay, anybody else have a question or comment?
The only the comment I might have with that is, don't we have Frank Patterson?
Let's-
And-
That was
and-
my thought.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're more than prepared to move forward on these projects under his leadership, and his
Yeah.
guidance. So I really, that doesn't bother me as much just because of Frank's contract with us.
Right.
Yeah,
I
Frank's been-
Frank, but I know Frank also works for MCC. I think the comfort with having a maintenance of equipment director is that we had a McLennan County employee that answered to the court.
Frank is contracted to us.
We have a contract goes from year to year with Frank right now as a consultant with MCC is obviously aware of that as well. And he's really in charge of all the tower projects and working with Motorola. The maintenance of equipment is more, hooking it up to make it work. But I guess if there's, what information, Commissioner, would you want that we can put together to bring back to you to make a decision on this?
I guess I hear the oral presentation that the sheriff office is making today. I guess I'd like to see a written plan moving forward, how we would reshape that department. I'm not sure if we're talking about an interim plan while we look at the position, or are we talking about reshaping it with the sheriff department taking over that position? Either way, I'd like to see the written plan moving forward and exactly how it would look with the sheriff's office taking over those functions.
Okay. Any other questions or comments anyone would have?
Regarding the budget, just to make sure it's clear to everyone, the budget that is Department 0120, I'm sorry. The budget that is Department 0120, which was maintenance of equipment, what's budgeted there for repair and maintenance was just pretty much specific to sheriff's office vehicles. So he may have been involved in assisting Road and Bridge and the constables with some repairs to their vehicles if needed, but those costs are actually housed in those departments. So anyway, just to make sure that know that the budget that's there specific for repair and maintenance was just sheriff's office vehicles.
And Judge, Commissioners, and I'd like to assure each of you as well as the other department heads that if we do take over the supervision of maintenance of equipment, there will be no division. It will remain the same. We will take care of everybody. It will not just become a sheriff's office maintenance shop. It will still be the McLennan County maintenance shop, and we will continue to perform all the duties that are performed now as efficiently or more efficiently than they are currently.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Anyone have? What's the pleasure of the court?
I guess my question would be if Commissioner Miller chooses to see something, I think it needs to be expedited. I think when you look at the percentage of work that's done, that's under the, what is it, 95%, 95%. I don't necessarily know that it makes sense to bring another director back in to handle tasks that are 95% in the SO already. So I understand where she's coming from, but I still think, I want everybody to be comfortable, but I still think this is by far the smarter and more efficient way to move forward. But if someone needs time, I understand that as well.
Commissioner Snell, or your audio's off. I don't know whether you were trying to say something or not. Okay.
I think he's talking, is he?
Commissioner Snell, he's muted. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, so I'm waiting for indication what the court wants to do. I haven't heard a deferral. I haven't heard a motion.
Hopeful to hear Commissioner.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
There you are. I don't know what's the matter with it. I'm just going to say, myself, I don't have a problem doing that. I mean, other than putting the radio in a car for us or hooking some lights up for us on a new vehicle, they do nothing. Wayne's shop hadn't been doing any work at all for our precinct, like I say, other than putting some lights on a new vehicle. So I wouldn't have a problem if we went like, let the sheriff's office pretty much maintain that department myself personally.
Okay.
Did y'all hear me now?
Yeah. I guess I need to know exactly what it is you're asking from us today. Are we asking that they do it in the interim, or are we asking that they take it on permanently? I know for Road and Bridge Precinct 2, they outfit all of our trucks with the additional equipment that you need on it. They put the radios in, they do the lights and whatever. They do the placards that go on the side of the trucks to identify this a county vehicle, but they do that on an ongoing basis. And they do the maintenance on our radios. And like I said, they're out there doing that site tower project. I don't know if it's 5%. I don't know the percentage of what they do for Road and Bridge. I just don't want the Road and Bridge work, I know Precinct 2 work, to get lost or be put on the back burner if the sheriff's operation becomes a priority. Then where does Road and Bridge fit? I did hear what the sheriff representative said, that we wouldn't get lost in the mix. I just don't know how it looks. It's a big move, and I don't have anything as far as a written plan moving forward, how it would look. And like I said, this is just me. And am I ready to say yes today? No, I'm not. I just need to see how the plan would look moving forward and exactly how Road and Bridge would factor in. Like I said, I don't know the percentage of time that they spend on Road and Bridge, but I do know when we need maintenance of equipment, we need maintenance of equipment.
And I think all we can do at this point in time is take them at their word, and that I think what they've said is that nothing changes other than the supervision of it. It still operates and functions as it always has. It just needs to be said.
Yeah, and Commissioner, I look at the tower project, and that's not a maintenance of equipment.
Well, I know it was Wayne that was out there. It was
Pardon
Wayne,
me?
it was Wayne, along with our road and bridge guys, and the vendor that did it. I don't know if he was supposed to be out there, but he was the one, doing the lead on that project when we started with the foundation and moving the fence and getting it set up. So it was maintenance of equipment out there with the vendor.
Well, I back to what I said earlier, the option is to approve this request, or if not, defer it and then look at approving an interim plan until a more permanent plan can be approved by the court. And I guess, Commissioner Miller, I was looking, if you wanted to defer that, then it'd be appropriate to make a motion to do that. But if anyone else has a plan they want to put forward, now's the time to do it.
Well, it depends on, I guess, what we're asking the court. Are we talking about an interim move or a permanent move? If it's a interim move, and it allows us to still see exactly how we're going to move forward permanently, that's one thing. But if we're asking for this to be the permanent move, then I do need I would need to know what that plan looks like moving forward. I hear the oral presentation, but this is the first time I'm hearing it, and I don't even know I don't have any written, I don't have any idea of the functionality of what maintenance of equipment is going to look like in the future. I'm just hearing a oral presentation. Then again, I don't know if this interim or is this permanent.
Question, what kind of budget impacts will that have if we immediately voted today to move it? What are the budget impacts?
So the sergeant, is that someone that's already employed there, or would that be an additional position? So a sergeant's base salary right now is $68,682. When compared to that department head salary, that the position that Wayne was in, there's about a $13,500 difference.
Savings.
So savings, we're probably looking at about, did they have that figured on here? There's about a $5,000 difference. It would be less for that position for the remainder of the year.
Right.
I would assume that the other line items would track along just as they have been. That those line items, they appear to be sufficient at this time. And so that savings would be there in that department head position.
Okay.
So could we not approve this today? We have budget right around the corner. It's going to give us enough time to know if this is if it fits or not. And we could change it in budget if we needed to, but if we approve it today, at least we're moving forward and making progress on the department itself.
And if there's some pieces that fall out, that y'all want to move somewhere else, definitely, like you said, at budget time, we can, kind of peel that apart and put those pieces where you'd like them and you want to have control over those.
Well, and I wouldn't say I think in this case, there's no such thing as permanent. As long as the court's meeting regularly, we can change it. And, but it only makes sense to do it during the budget time. But that doesn't mean it couldn't be done. So any of these discretionary moves that the court make is never permanent in my mind. So
I just think if we went ahead and did it today, by the time budget hits, we'll have a good feel for how you guys are responding to the needs of everybody in the county. And I think there's a level of comfort that can be built to know that that was the right thing to do.
So are you saying that they're going to have to hire another sergeant, or they're going to use an existing sergeant?
It would be a new position.
yeah, they have someone that's a sergeant that would be qualified to take Wayne's position. but they would have to replace him in the jail because he's got functions that he does there that would need to be, pardon me? In patrol, okay, in patrol.
So you already have somebody picked out.
And so for, excuse me, for 2021, you know, looking at a whole year, then comparing those two salaries of a sergeant, comparing it to that department head position, and then that's where they come up with about $16,000 will be the difference yet next year. Savings between those, having,
All right, I'm gonna ask again, what's the pleasure of the court?
I would make a motion that we approve this, with caveat that between now and the end of the budget year, we will closely watch the performance, and entertain any ideas or thoughts with regards to that. But at this point in time, I would make a motion to approve moving maintenance of equipment under the sheriff's office.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Abstain?
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Thank you. Okay, I see Ms. Collins here. Let's go to item H7. It's the revised IBG for Zinc Power. And then while you're here, we will go to M4, which is the Economic Development Report. Good morning.
Good morning. What you have before you in item H7 is a request by Zinc Power, which is a new company that is currently constructing a facility in Texas Central Park off of Mars Drive to amend the due date for the completion of their construction project. They've incurred some delays due to weather and has asked us to extend that deadline to March 1st, 2001. So that marks about a 6-month deferral of the timeframe of this agreement. At our next meeting, or the commissioner's next meeting, we'll also bring back to you the Waco McLennan County Economic Development Program project agreement that'll also amend the timeline for this.
Okay. Any questions anyone would have on that? Just to move the date on previously approved item. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Okay, you have economic development report in your package, so it would be go to items M4.
Yes. You have our economic development report for the month of April. This was the first month that truly started to show the impacts of the pandemic locally. I would say that our office has continued to be open, although the doors were shut through April to the public. Our office has absolutely been functioning, and the level of economic development activity has been very vigorous, despite the fact that we're seeing impacts locally. We did have 7 attraction inquiries for the month. We provided 5 project proposals. We were able to conduct site visits, although those were virtual for the most part, which was a very interesting way of doing things. But one area that was impacted a bit in our activities was our business retention visits. You can understand those are normally on-site visits. We did offer to do Zoom visits or virtual visits with our businesses. However, they were pretty impacted and busy trying to manage their own activities. But we've started rescheduling those. Some businesses are now able to open their doors. So for the month of June, we'll start seeing activity roll, and that'll be a combination of both on-site visits and virtual visits that we'll be conducting. If you're able to join us for the virtual visits, we would appreciate that. And I know that the business community would appreciate having you on as well. As far as the on-site visits are concerned, we are still very mindful of having groups, large groups available. So for now, our staff person, Jennifer Branch, will be the sole person that will conduct on-site visits until we feel that the businesses feel more comfortable in having larger groups of people available. And then,
Excuse me.
yes, sir.
So you're saying that if one of the commissioners or myself wanted to be a part of that, we could Zoom in, or did I?
If we're going to be doing a Zoom visit with the
Virtually,
businesses,
yeah, okay.
we would welcome that. As far as the on-site visits, we've just told the businesses we'll have one single person come for those.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Looking at the new active projects for the last 30 days, right before the pandemic started, we had a couple of projects that came on. Project Cool Breeze was one, and we actually conducted a site visit with them last week in person. So that was good. This is a great project for us, 400,000 square feet, 200 additional jobs in the marketplace, and probably about $30 to $40 million in capital investment. They're looking at multiple sites across the community right now, but definitely focused on the Central Texas market. Project Torch is one that we will be bringing back to the commissioners at the next meeting in June. And this will be a manufacturing project, Canadian-based, that will finally be able to make their public announcement. About 49 jobs, 58,000 square feet of new construction, and a little over $8 million of new investment into the marketplace. Looking at other projects that are very active, Project Clash, Project Calcite Mineral, Waco has been named one of the finalist communities under consideration there. That would be another nearly 140,000 square feet of new construction, $30 million of capital investment. This is a German company. So we've had a lot of success in creating international business opportunities here. Project Cool Breeze is also an international business. And so we know that there's still a lot of interest in foreign direct investment into the United States, and those are good things. Project Diana is a large distribution project that we've been working on. It is still moving forward in its consideration of our marketplace. And Project Promise is one that is likely to relocate from another Texas community into our Waco area. That would bring with it 40 new jobs, 60,000 square feet of absorbed space, and about $4 million of capital investment. There's definitely a difference between when a company is taking over a space versus building something new, but still good jobs, good paying jobs that they would be bringing into the market. Overall, when you look at the level of activity that we're seeing, of the projects that are most active right now that we feel could hit this year, almost 1,000 new jobs to be announced with that, $187 million worth of new capital investment, 1.8 million square feet of real estate absorption into the market. And of that, 1.7 million of it is new construction. So we know that construction has a tremendous economic impact within the community, and the ripple effect with our local subcontractors and suppliers is tremendous. So this would be a very, very good year for us, despite the issues that we've seen globally and across the country and the state. So we are very, knock on wood, optimistic that this is going to be a good year for us, that will push us into a strong year for 2021, which we know that listening to economists, next year is going to be a challenge for the country and recovery as well. And so that we would have a lot of strong projects that would be hitting in a construction mode or actually hitting the market for active jobs. This is going to be really positive for us. I wanted to talk with you for just a moment about the Small Business Assistance Grant that the court and the council approved participation through the Waco McLennan County Economic Development Corporation. We had our last, Dustin and I serve on the application review committee for that, and had our last meeting on Friday. Through that meeting, there have been 127 grants that have been awarded. The average of those has been about $2,666. Breaking that down though between the EDC and the Community Development Block Grant. So there were two pools of money to come together to create each one of those 415,000. There have been 219,000, almost $220,000 worth of awards through the Economic Development Corporation versus about 119,000 through the Community Development Block Grant. There's a little bit more of a challenge in qualifying some businesses through this, that may qualify as a CDBG business because there are different sets of regulations or reporting requirements because it's federal dollars. And so in instances where businesses haven't been able to qualify their paperwork through the federal side, we've pushed them over into the EDC portion of it. To ensure that they get additional funding or the funding that they need to stay active. Breaking down the total numbers, there have been 38 grant awards through the CDBG, and there have been 83 through the Waco-McLennan County Economic Development Corporation. And then diving further into that, 69% of those have been in the city of Waco, and 31% of them have been outside of Waco in the county. And the average award of the EDC dollars has been $2,648. So we're definitely getting dollars out into the community to those small businesses that need it. I would say that when we look at the applications, predominantly it is sole proprietorships and it is service industry related businesses. And those, of course, were not considered essential businesses and have been closed. So these dollars are absolutely needed in getting them back to where they need to be operational, getting them out of the rears when it comes to rents so that they can function the way they need to.
Okay.
Chris, could you provide us a list of those businesses, please?
Yes, sir. I'll have to get those from the city. I have a report, but I can get that to you.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Chris? If not, is there a motion to approve this report for recording purposes?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to go back up to another item under the consent agenda that was pulled under D3B, Department Head Incentive Pay. Amanda, I think, is going to give a report on this.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful. This particular item, we will be presenting the incentive pay numbers for all offices and departments on the next court agenda. I am still missing an incentive pay submission from one of the commissioners regarding the department head incentive numbers. So as soon as I have that, we'll incorporate that in the report when we provide the numbers for all other offices.
Okay, so you recommending that we defer this till the next?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion to defer?
Motion. Second.
Motion made, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. And then under E6B, I'd like to hold that towards the end of the meeting. We will need to go into executive session on part of that because it's security. I'd like to go, let's see. Is Mike Dixon on the line? And Dustin?
Yes, sir. Judge Mike has called in, so he's muted right now, though.
Okay, but is he ready for this item?
Yes, he's unmuted. I think he's ready.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Let's go to item K1. This is the CARES Act grant, page 8.
Yes, there's been, a lot of confusion about what qualifies, what doesn't qualify for the CARES Act funding. There's been quite a bit of new FAQs put out by both the Treasury Department and TDEM that make it a little easier to understand. The primary problem we have right now is that the governor stuck an additional restriction on counties and cities under 500,000 that they had to use 75% of their money on the first 3 categories given in the Treasury Department guidance. And that's difficult to do. You have the Treasury Department gives us 6 categories, and some of the most useful things we can do are in the other 3 categories. So the other day, Friday, the Treasury Department came out with FAQs, and one of them was, can a state put additional restrictions or put restrictions on this money? And it was careful. It said yes, but only to the extent it serves a purpose of 601B of the Social Security Act to make sure that only to the extent it is to make sure that 601B of the Social Security Act is carried out. Making this arbitrary restriction does nothing to make sure that 601B is carried out. In fact, it's directly in opposition to it, because the Treasury guidance gives us 6 categories. And then it says, to the extent it doesn't do this, the state may not put any further restrictions on it. So I've talked to several organizations, mainly with TML, because they are pretty active on this, and they're all mulling over what to do now, because right now, from my perspective, it's clear the governor's violating law. He is not carrying out he's not complying with the guidance that's been given under the Treasury Department. And so I don't know what's going to happen, if somebody's going to end up bringing suit, or somebody's going to send him a nasty letter telling him, you don't have any authority to do this, but something needs to get him off high center, because this is not an appropriate restriction.
And what this funding provides, it's $55 per capita. It totals $2,281,291, and 20% of that allocation, which totals $456,258, is available immediately upon the certifications that we would need to send to the state.
Right, but even that money is subject to the 75-25 split.
Right.
So when you spend it, it has to be in compliance with that restriction, which is medical expenses, public health, which there's a lot of things that could be fit under public health, and the salaries of persons that have been designated or primarily designated to respond to the COVID emergency. But the other categories are much broader, including the last category that says any other program that would respond to the COVID-19 emergency. But there's many programs, everything from small business grants to hospital grants to, it's just, there's a ton of things that can be done under those other categories that we're not getting the opportunity to do.
But it appears we should go ahead and approve this grant agreement, related to certification, right? Resolution.
Right, we approve the grant agreement because that's what he has in it, but it's not that restriction is not effective if it was never authorized to be placed on the funding. So I don't think signing the agreement that had that in there in any way stops us from saying, no, we shouldn't be bound by this arbitrary restriction that's not in the CARES Act and not in the Treasury regulations.
Any questions? Anybody have?
Do we have a resolution in here?
Excuse me? Hello?
I was asking if the resolution is in here or is it just the certification?
We sent them back the certification and the agreement, which, has that restriction in it. We've sent back both. And the difference between the 20%, 25%, or the 20% and the following 80% is that the first 20% you can use and not have to provide initial reimbursement information. You can use it, and then after you did it, you give them a report of what everything you used it for. The following 80%, you have to present a plan in advance for the use of that money. And one thing that's especially kind of galling about it is if you're a county over 500,000 or a city over 500,000, they just direct deposited millions of dollars into your account with no restrictions, the only restriction being the Treasury Department guidance. So there's also kind of an equal protection issue there too, from a standpoint of citizens who live in a county under or a county over. Why is there a difference in how they're treated? It's based on a per capita, per head calculation. So there should be no difference in how they're treated.
And Commissioner Jones, I think part of what you were asking, there's a checklist at the back where it's the State of Texas assurances, the CARES Act, fund eligibility certification, and then the certification regarding lobbying. I don't know if there's a specific resolution that goes along with this one. Typically, some grants do require it, so we try to always include that language to be broad. But from what I've seen looking through, I don't see a specific resolution.
We did. I thought there was a resolution that we did with that.
Judge, is Reagan in there?
Yes.
Does she know if there was a specific resolution?
I have not seen a resolution either. For some of the other grants, there's been resolutions that I have not seen with this. I've just seen this resolution.
Yeah, Mike, I'm thinking it may be one of the other grants.
Okay. What did we send in with this? Did we send in a minute order or anything?
We haven't, this is the motion to actually approve the grant agreement today. So we haven't submitted anything on this one yet.
Okay, well, we can, as part of this, approve, we'll do an order, a formal order that says this is approved on this date by the county and the judge was authorized to execute it. We'll just do an order after the fact.
Okay, any other questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the coronavirus relief fund authorization of grant agreement.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Mike, while you're on, I want to go to under, regarding McLennan County game rooms under M9A and M9B. M9A is approval of amended game room regulation of McLennan County, Texas.
Yes, this is more of a cleanup as more and more people that will be involved in the actual operation start looking at it. They saw practical improvements that could be made, like how the fee is handled and in different things like that. It's primarily, the only really substantive change was to make clear that it's where the game room is located that determines who is going to do the application review, not where the applicant's residence is. But the remainder of it is primarily about how the application is turned in. It'll be turned in to the county even if it's in a cooperating jurisdiction. The county will send the application over to the proper parties to investigate it at the cooperating city. But the check is brought in there too. So instead of having the application and check brought over to the city having to send the check back over to the treasurer, and then the treasurer ultimately having to cut a check back to the city for their share of the fee for doing the investigation. It was easier just to have the county have the money and just to ACH to the city at the end of each month, whatever their share was.
Got it with the sheriff's office and felt that was the best way of trying to take care of that. That money will go straight to them with the application, and that way the check's not going back and forth in places, and we'll account for it like we do anything else, and they'll let us know if part of that does go to a city, and then we'll turn part of that over back to the city.
Okay. And then the, under M9B is to, the amended interlocal agreement with the city of Waco, as a cooperating city, to assist in administration and enforcement of McLennan County game room regulations. So
I think there was just a couple of small changes in the agreement itself, but because we refer to the attached regulations, we put the proposed amended regulations attached to it, so that we're all on the same page.
Anyone have any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve M9A and M9B? I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Small,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Thank you. All right, going back to, or going 2 items under the F category. Under F is budget amendments, transfers and changes, additional revenues, certifications, and expenses request. Under F1 is regarding the FY20 budget. Francis?
Sure. So starting with F1A, F1A is a general fund budget amendment for JP Precinct 2, and they're requesting to move money between a security services line item in their budget into furniture and equipment. F1B, this is in the permanent improvement fund related to the 2017 bond. This is just moving money into the line items specific to the ADA modifications for the Extraco Event Center. And this ties back to the bid that you accepted for the elevator repair to be done by John Irwin.
So Fund 417 that's the ADA.
So Fund 417 is where the bond proceeds from that 2017 bond sit. And so we've been charging the ADA costs to those bond funds. This one was a little bit large, so we just wanted to kind of keep it separate for tracking purposes.
Thank you.
F1.
I'll get it in a minute. Go ahead.
F1C, this is general fund for the county auditor department. We're requesting to move some within line items in our budget from professional development to furniture and equipment. We have a lot of mandated training that we have not had to travel for this year. And so, and they've been doing it virtually. So we have some funds that we'd like to go ahead and use to add some laptops to our department, if available, to get. We really only have one laptop that our department had to use. So that's just gonna give us some more options for the future. And then also we needed some monitors to be replaced that are going out. F1D1 is Sheriff's Office, and this is regarding Highway 6. There is a line item that houses the cost that we pay a company to help us complete the SCAP grant application every year. SCAP is the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. We pay this company JBI a percentage of the grant award for helping us put that together. We're always kind of on the state's timeline, so sometimes these timelines overlap year to year. And so it happened that two grant applications fell in the same year. So they had that cost that was duplicate in their department this year. So they're asking for that money to come from contingencies. F1D2, Sheriff's Office as well, but this is for jail medical. The request is to increase some personnel related items, part-time and overtime pay, as well as medical services. And those would come from other line items within their departments.
So are these just regular medical services, or is this any COVID related? Some of this. I guess some of this is COVID related. We are, when we get back to the grant for acceptance of our grant, we do have some funds coming in with the health costs.
And then F1D3, this is also a Sheriff's Office, Jack Harwell Detention Center, and the request is to move within departments, from other departments within that department into other services and charges to cover some unexpected cost for some network cost. F1E, this is in the general fund, and these are line items, I'm sorry, this is in general fund, Justice Technology Fund, and the County and District Court Technology Fund. These are costs that we've incurred for COVID-19. We've had one of these before. This is kind of cleaning up those line items and moving funding into those. So yes, there are grants out there, and eventually when that timeline rolls forward, we'll be moving these costs to those grants. But at this time, the costs are just in general fund. So we want to make sure that budget-wise, we're still good. So we want to go ahead and increase those line items so we can show, that we are within our budget. But like I said, we'll probably be moving a lot of those out into the grant funding at some point in time. F1G, this is in the Justice Technology Fund. The request is from JP Precinct 4, and they would like to purchase a printer. I skipped F1F. I think we need to defer that one. F1H, Lisa is going to cover after we go through budget amendments. F1I, this is in Road and Bridge Precinct 2, and the request is just to move within the department into the telephone, internet, computer line. There's increased cost this year for additional hotspots needed, and then Zoom accounts. F1J, this is Road and Bridge Precinct 3, and the request is just to move within that department into road construction materials. And F1K, this is in the Human Resources Department. They're requesting money from contingencies, and this is to purchase a TV unit. There's a memo attached from her as well and a quote for that purchase. Any questions or?
That's replacing a television that went out during the storm.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any questions about any of those? If not, is there a motion to approve F1A to F1K?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion been made and second. Go ahead.
Sorry, with the exception of F and H.
Right.
Okay, would you amend that motion to, with the exception of F and H?
Amend the motion.
And second
Yes.
amendment?
Yes.
All right, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Passed. On F1F, do we need to defer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is there a motion to defer F1F?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion made second, any other discussion? Discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Do we need to do anything on the other one we deferred?
So on F1H, Lisa has some information on those.
Yes, F1H1, the sheriff's office has expressed a need for 2 laptops to manage their virtual court proceedings. They will use this between the district courts and federal courts. They expect to have simultaneous hearings going, so they're asking for laptops. They currently do not have the funds in their budget. And I do have a surplus of IT assessments. So I'm asking the court to allow us, sorry, thank you. I'll go ahead and repeat myself so I've heard over online. The sheriff's office is requesting 2 new laptops for the Jack Harwell facility in order for them to run virtual Zoom meetings to hold court proceedings. This will be for the district courts and federal courts. They expect to have this need simultaneously. They do not have funds in their budget right now. I do have a surplus in the IT assessments of about $50,000. So I'm asking the court to allocate approximately $2,800 to accommodate that request.
Okay, any questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass.
Okay, on F1H2, this particular item is also related to item L4. And I had wanted to request some discussion from the court regarding our virtual conference meetings that we hold our commissioners court over. Just wanted to, I know everyone's aware, but just to repeat here, currently we are using 3 IT staff members to manage this meeting. That's for the audiovisual equipment, the meeting participants and their controls, presentations, moving in and out of executive session, the Zoom recording and streaming to YouTube. We also continue to test, as adjustments are needed when we identify issues during the meetings, and we are also cross-training roles. With that said, as we approach the budget workshops that are coming up, that's going to require a great deal of commitment from our team to manage those long hours. This has already impacted some response time in our daily support and put us behind on some time-sensitive projects. So I wanted to come to court to, I guess, ask what we want to do long-term for these meetings. If, and I had some suggested considerations, if we want to continue utilizing this virtual platform, and if we're going to use county employees, I wanted to ask for assistance in that area. I'm also asking for additional equipment that would be dedicated to this purpose. Right now we're using loaner equipment or equipment assigned to staff members. The PA system has also presented certain challenges for us. So I would also like to consider having someone come in and evaluate the system under these new settings. It appears with what we're hearing in the news that this could go on long term. If we were to have another spike, we could be doing this for some time. Or, if the court envisions coming back in on site, I'm just not sure what everyone's feelings are. I just kind of wanted to open up that conversation. We are also looking into solutions to incorporate the translator as an overlay view in our broadcast rather than as a participant. And let's see, I've got a couple of other items here. Got to catch up on my notes. Give me just a moment. And speaking to the employee or the management of the meetings, normally what IT support is doing for the different courtrooms and offices that are utilizing these, we come in, we train the staff, we help them build their templates to manage that. In this particular instance, we don't have an office that we're working with per se. We're working with several elected officials, yourselves, to do this meeting. So I didn't know if there was the opportunity to incorporate other county employees to assist us in this task. I would envision to always have at least one IT member here to perform the host role, and then hopefully have other county employees to assist us in the supporting roles. Another option would be maybe to seek other solutions out there that may have incorporated these remote sessions into their recordings and live streamings. We've looked at Swagit in the past, granted, because we could potentially reach out that direction, or whether or not you wanted to investigate a professional broadcast service. So those are kind of some different options I threw out there.
And I think there are some folks that have been offered to help in it as well.
Yes, Judge Felton has heard of my concerns, and he has offered 3 staff members from his office to assist us. So we did begin training with them this week. And, hopefully with what our hope is that for the PA system, we bring someone in. We've got 2 companies. We're looking at local companies to reevaluate this. With the right equipment, we're hoping we can bring that down to only 2 people necessary to manage these meetings with the sound system. If we can have equipment that is preset with so much interaction with it as it stands now. So, you know, we are certainly willing to go that route with you. I would just highly recommend that we look at evaluating the sound system as it stands and allowing us to purchase dedicated equipment for hosting the system and for the IT. What we're looking at for the host device, PC that would have a hardline connection there. We need to have a higher quality processor and graphics card, so we want a higher performing device there. We're looking at spending approximately $1,900 for that device and some monitors. Potentially for the supporting laptop, that cost would be approximately $1,500, although I would like to wait on purchasing that until we have the PA system evaluation.
Okay, any thoughts anyone have?
Well, as long as we have this no physical meeting open to the public will be held, we're gonna have to do something.
Yes.
Either permanent or temporary. We're gonna have to continue to do that. Have you spoken to Civics Plus about any solutions?
Yes, we did have a recent conversation. We're wanting to revisit that with them. We did not get a response back in time for today's meeting to see how they would be able to assist us with that equipment. So we do have a pending response from them. I did look at.
And if we had, and I hate to, Monday morning quarterback anything, we had kept if we'd have kept the live streaming of the meetings, would that made this any easier or?
It did not give us a solution for joining remote participants. So we still would have had to incorporate a solution like Zoom. I had hoped to bring this list with me, but apparently I left it on my desk. I did look at a number of other counties that are using the Swagit product to see if they had incorporated anything under the current circumstances. And from what I can see, I looked at about 7 different counties. 6 of them are still hosting on site. They've just made accommodations within their courtrooms for the social distancing. The other one did incorporate, or they're using a Zoom platform or similar products as we are. But it appears most people have made that type of accommodation. I did not call out to them to see what they're doing with their public. My only concern is just the amount of time that we're tying up our IT staff to manage these meetings and the projects that we have. We can certainly try using other county staff members and see how that goes. See how they're able to their comfort level and success in running that role alongside of us.
Okay. I mean, I would say, go ahead.
So I guess if we don't want to look at, well, I guess I need to know what the court would like us to pursue. So I guess the first question, should we go ahead and pursue evaluating our PA system and seeing what that expense looks like? Okay.
I would think so.
I mean,
okay.
Anything to get rid of that mess over there.
Okay, so we will definitely pursue that and bring some numbers back to you. For the host device that we're using there, it does sometimes report as unstable due to the number of applications that we're running across that to support the host meeting. So I would like to ask the court today to allow me to use my IT assessment funds to purchase a new host device that's dedicated to that, we can leave here in this space and not have to cart so much equipment back and forth as well.
Great, that's a fine idea.
Okay, and that, I believe that budget amendment was 19, approximately $1,900.
And then, in regards to utilizing non-IT staff, I'd like to try that.
Yes, sir.
What it might do is, Cody would receive any calls coming in, transfer them here. And, Reagan would work in here as, assisting in the, meeting, Zoom meeting, and then Donna Kirkland would also be a part of that as well. She works in the court collections side, but reports to my office.
So that'll give us a few more people to work with and be on standby in case there's absences and such. I will continue to cross-train people in my office as well, so that if we do have to have more than one IT staff member, we can. But I think it would be, it's much appreciated. Thank you, Judge Belton, for allowing your staff to assist us.
They're happy to do it.
It'd be easy to work with.
Okay, so
So
that
that's-
answers those two questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And, so that would be under L4 being moved, right?
Yes, so the discussion was L4, and then I guess, so associated to that would be the, I guess, approval. It's not really a budget amendment, because I do have the funds in IT assessments. It's just seeking the court's approval to make that purchase.
Okay. All right, what's the pleasure of the court? I'd be approving item F1H 2 and item L4. Okay.
Motion to approve
Thank you.
F1H2 and L4.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Pass.
And if this gets held up for any reason, can you please keep us informed about it if there's some sort of issue with ADA or something like that? Make sure that we know about it as soon as possible.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So at the next meeting, you might just give a report, update on
Yes, sir.
it. Okay. All right, and does that clean up all the FY20?
Yes.
And we need to defer F1H3.
Motion to defer F1H3.
Second.
Motion been made, second, any discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Pass. I'd like to go to, I think West Allison's own, go to item L6. Okay, under L6 is Heart of Texas Fair Extra School Event Center authorization, capital improvements. As you know, we allocate $100,000 for capital improvements, and we're trying to finish up those purchases and all. And so on February the 4th, the court approved the capital expenditure for the extra school event center totaling $63,667.55 for the purchase and installation of 6 fans for the show pavilion and barn area. They are requesting authorization for the remaining capital improvement allocation to be used for additional stalls, 50 stalls, and then mats will expand the ability of to put on more horse shows in the cattle barn side of it. So Wes, you have any comments about, any additional comments?
Yes, Judge, good morning, Commissioners. Certainly good to see everybody's faces and those kind of things. But very quickly, I'll just say that, as you know, last year we spent the capital improvement money to enclose an area just on the west side of the show pavilion that not only houses livestock, but also could potentially house equine. And so the stall part of that is to allow us to house that equine in there. As we currently sit today, it is also about increasing the numbers of available capacity for our facility as we are currently working through our COVID guidelines. We've submitted those COVID guidelines to the city, and we'll have our first horse show this weekend. So it allows us to spread out a little more as we need to in order to keep things better socially distanced. So that's where the stalls will go, is into that new area. As we get back to a new normal, then it'll allow us to actually increase our numbers and usage, and ultimately the economic impact on our community and our county by doing that. The matting is something that we've been looking into for quite some time and doing some test runs of. The mats are 4x6 mats that would go in the bottom of the stalls. Ultimately, it does two things. One, it reduces the amount of ammonia that gets trapped in the stalls because not as much urine passes into the soil. As you may or may not know, those stalls are sitting on a clay base, much like you would see in a foundation of a home. And so, but they still can be penetrated by urine. And so it creates some ammonia issues when we have animals in here for an extended period of time. The mats help to keep that moisture and allow the shavings that are put in every stall to soak it up. It allows that to happen. In addition, it increases the air quality because we get less dust created within those stalls because the horses or the livestock are not down to where they could, either paw in the dirt or create issues with dust as we clean and those kind of things. So we believe too that through looking at this, it will keep our facility cleaner and ultimately improve the air quality for those that are here and coming to our facility, and certainly the new big fans that were put in. As the judge spoke to just a minute ago, this would conclude our use of the $100,000 to improve the opportunity to create economic impact, as well as to improve the quality of our facility and your facility for those using it throughout the year. So with that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Okay, Francis, this this all fit under the capital improvement program?
Yes, sir, that's correct. So when they complete the projects, they will, the Heart of Texas Fairgrounds will bill us for that $100,000, and then we will reimburse them.
Okay, any questions anyone have? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. Call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Pass.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wes. All right, under item FY21 budget, I tell you, since it's looks like let's take a 5-minute break, recess. Okay, let's call court back into order. I'd like to go to, under item F2, regarding the FY '21 budget. So, Francis?
That will be later this week. When those numbers come in. But I do want to give you an update. Kind of on what the next couple months look like as far as the budget calendar goes. So the next agenda 2 weeks from today is June 16th. So we plan on having a lot of things to discuss and go through that day. One is we'll have the monthly report through the month, through the end of May. So we'll take that and we'll kind of estimate where we predict to end this year. It'll give us a lot more information on what the last few months have given us. And so we'll talk through that, see where we are this year. We'd also that day like to go through all the special revenue funds and the debt service fund and get those marked off and put to bed. So of course, the special revenue funds, we're not relying on tax revenue. So we've estimated the revenues, we have budget requests, we'll get your okay on those. Same with debt service fund. The debt service schedules, of course, have been in place when the debt was issued. Also, that day, we plan on having the general fund information for y'all. So we'll give you that workbook that we normally don't give you until the beginning of July. And so that will have all the department requests. We'll also have the preliminary tax rates at that point. We should have those by the end of this week as well. But we'll incorporate all that and kind of have a summary for you that you can play with. It'll show you our estimated beginning fund balance. It'll show you the request. It'll show you the scenarios with the different tax rates. So having that early, that'll give you all 3 weeks to be able to review, have questions prepared. So as we move into July, hopefully the budget process will go even smoother than it has before. One of the other things that we're going to do a little different is go ahead and schedule those weeks in July with department heads and elected officials coming in. Historically, we've kind of waited till we got in here and kind of saw what the mood of the court was and who y'all wanted to meet with and who you didn't. We'll go ahead and set all that up. And that way, if y'all don't want to meet with someone, we can just mark them off. But we hope that'll help things go smooth too. So those 3 weeks leading up until from June 16th to July 7th, if you come across questions that you would like answered by the departments, if you want more information, if you let us know or let them know, then when they come in here, they'll be prepared and we can get a lot done instead of having them come back and forth and give y'all information after we speak to them. So those, like I said, getting ready for July 7th, which is a normal agenda. So we'll do our normal schedule. Tuesday, recess until Wednesday if needed, Wednesday afternoon if needed, scheduled for Thursday, recess until Friday if needed. And so we'll have 3 weeks of that. July 28th, that Tuesday we'll be prepared to file the proposed budget. You'll vote on the proposed tax rate, and then that timeline will start moving forward so that we can approve the tax rate and budget by the end of August.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
A couple of comments. On the special revenue fund, those revenues come from fees and various sources, some within the county.
Yes.
And
So they are fines and fees that are tacked onto cases, depending on what type of case they are, like the justice technology fee,
right.
Our court reporter service fee.
Right.
There's a lot of them, but those, like I said, those go in there.
Well, I think that's a time for us to review those fee levels and to make a decision on what we want those to be.
And a lot of those are tied to court costs that they are set at a certain level, and
right.
we can't change those, but we'll be prepared to tell you if there are any that are able to be tweaked.
Okay. The other thing is if you see from July 7th to the 28th, 3 weeks, of course, and if anyone has anything planned during that time that they're not going to be here, let us know so we can, and especially that last week, so we can make sure we've got quorum, and then in some of these things, you pretty much want everybody here.
Mhm.
When you're setting these rates, and so if there's any, y'all look at your calendars and see if there's gonna be any conflicts you have, let us know, and we'll try to accommodate that, and so we can have, pretty much everybody here during the whole time.
And then in the month of August, after you file the proposed, we'll have the 2 hearings, one on Tuesday, the 18th of August, and one on Tuesday, August 25th. This year, of course, we only have to have 1 tax rate hearing, so that's a change this year, but those 2 dates were 2 important dates in August.
Okay. And then, whenever you bring that general fund, I guess at what point are you gonna have an understanding on the cap rate and how that's gonna fit into all this?
So we should have that, some scenarios for you, looking at that on June 16th in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So the state comptroller issues like formal calculation forms where you come to that rate. The tax office does those forms and certifies those forms. Those have just been issued. So they are working through those for all of the entities that they serve. So we will have those. Of course, those are based on preliminary values. So as our values, we get closer to that July 25th is when we will have the certified values.
Okay.
And so, then we will have the actual rates, but we should have the preliminary values, preliminary rates based on those values on June 16th.
Okay.
And I know there's been, discussion on disaster declaration, moving back up to the 8%, the forms that the state comptroller issued just the last few days, they have that 3.5% in there, so I haven't heard anything different on their view on going back to the 8% this year.
All right.
Yes, at this point, and the Attorney General is, said that this does not meet that definition of disasters.
Okay. Okay. What's next?
So that's all I have today for that. I think there's the library has on F2B, there's
Okay, on
funding allocation.
F2B, and there's no action needs to be on F2A, is that right?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, F2B, we're gonna have someone come and go over this, their proposed budget with us on the 16th, I believe. So I'd make a motion that we defer that until the next meeting.
Second.
Motion been made. Second, any other discussion? No other discussion? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Okay, going to, under item G, under bids, RFPs, RFQs. G1's authorization amendment to bid number 18-023. This is the transportation of deceased, for chemical analysis by Waco Mortuary Service. So Ken?
Yes, sir. It came to our attention, well, let me first state, in our bid, we include a clause that states if additional goods or services or a change in quantity of goods or services that fits the scope of the original bid comes up during the contract period or any extension thereof, the purchasing department will request a quote from the contract holder and include this change as part of the contract. It has come to our attention that at times it will be necessary to perform COVID testing on a deceased client. Waco Mortuary can do that testing. They must suit up in proper protective gear, conduct the test, then deliver the test to the health department, who will transport the test to the appropriate testing site. We have been in contact with Linda at Waco Mortuary and discussed a fee for the service. Linda feels she can provide this service for a fee of $75. At this time, we would recommend we amend bid 18-023 to include a charge of $75 for each COVID test Waco Mortuary is requested to perform.
All right, any questions?
I just had one. I think it's a good idea, but who would request the testing?
The JPs request the testing.
Okay. Do you know in what under what circumstances they would request the test? Are these like natural deaths at home or?
Generally, but that might be a question you're gonna ask one of the JPs, but it could be that someone passed at home and had been sick. And trying to find out if it was COVID-19 so they can, the other family members could be notified and educated to what they might need to do.
Okay.
They've been doing this already?
Yes, sir, they have.
A couple, but not many, but
Yeah.
all right. What's pleasure, court?
I move to approve G1.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under H is contracts and interlocal agreements and memorandums of understanding. Under H1 is ratification of business associate agreement with Cisco Systems. This is for the mental health commitment hearings where we would, this gives us approval to use WebEx. And so it's our WebEx contract. Sometimes we have to have hearings at the at different locations, mental health facilities, whether they be public or private. So this allows Mary to be able to arrange those meetings. Anything else, Dustin, on that?
No, sir. This goes back to the to HIPAA requirements and personal health information. These are just standard agreements anytime any of that information might be shared.
Okay,
So is this a more secure?
yeah, this is one that they selected is one that they.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Have a motion, is there a second? I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. This, under H2, is authorization of solid waste interlocal agreement with the Heart Texas Council of Governments for a community collection event for Road and Bridge Precinct 1 through 3. This is this tire collection? I believe it's.
Yes, that's the annual solid waste projects that the Road and Bridge departments do annually through hot cog funds.
Okay.
This helps us with some funding for the disposal of tires.
Okay. All right. what's
Motion to
pleasure?
approve?
Second.
Motion been made. Second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. Call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under H3, you might recall there's a interlocal agreement with the city of Waco on their municipal court, Class C misdemeanors, inmates. It's a take or pay arrangement they've had reserved jail space. They're not, because they're not enforcing the Class C misdemeanors right now, they asked to cancel the interlocal agreement. Dustin, is that pretty much?
That's right. And we approved that cancellation on May 19th. And this is just the formal termination agreement that'll go along to the city.
Motion to, for the agreement to terminate with the city of Waco.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Pass. Under H4 is authorization of interlocal cooperation agreement with Lieutenant County Soil Water Conservation District, number 512. This is for the Cabo watershed control structure number 3 and number 8. Zane?
Sir, Judge, this item is related to consent agenda E, 4A, and 4B. It's an interlocal agreement between the Soil and Water Conservation District and the county, and will allow the county to request proposals for the sites 3 and sites 8 of Cal Bayou watershed. And once we receive the proposals, we'll make a selection for the contractors to do cleanup on those 2 sites. And then we will manage the project. We'll be reimbursed by the Soil and Water Conservation District. Soil and Water Conservation District will be reimbursed by the State Board of Soil and Water Conservation. So I recommend approval for this interlocal agreement.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this request?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under E5 is authorization of support and maintenance agreements with Excella Technologies. Lisa?
Yes, sir. So we are renewing our agreement for the paper vision and paper flow solutions that we're using in archives. The H5A is for the licensing. There was a small increase from last year. We're going, this year's cost is $2,772.68, which is an increase of $138.63. On H5B, this is for the support renewal. The cost this year is, I read the numbers backwards a while ago, I apologize. Okay, let me go back. H5A, this year's cost is $2,911.31. The increase being 138.63. For H5B, for this year's cost is $3,105.13, an overall increase of $147.86.
Okay. Any question anyone have? Is there a motion to approve H5A and H5B?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. And Lisa, before I forget it, I'd like to have an update on the status of archives in regards to how much shredding we're still doing from outside third party, and kind of what the status is on the available space as we're looking at, long-term space for other files and those things. Want to be sure we're not forgetting what we have there.
Okay, I can tell you that for the shredding, they have not done that. I think they've been in a standstill on that for the past 3 months. They've had a great deal going on with the InfoLinks project, which is the new management, the box management using the barcoding systems and such. And I think a lot of their movement has been decreased during this COVID situation.
Okay. Well, I think from time to time, we probably need to get an update about everything, just a report. Thank you. Under H6, authorization renewal of service agreement with Civic Plus, the applicant tracking and new hire onboarding and performance management subscription. So Amanda? Is Amanda with us?
Sorry, I've had some audio issues this morning. Can you repeat that, Judge?
It's H6, authorization of renewal of service agreement with Civic Plus.
Thank you, sir. This particular item we have annually provided to the court. This is the system we are currently using for applicant tracking. We're also utilizing it for new hire onboarding. And most recently, everybody is familiar with this tool from conducting performance evaluations. We are requesting the ability to renew this service. There are some complaints that we have had regarding the utilization of the tool for performance management. It seems to be the majority of the complaints lie on that side of the tool's functionality. There are some things we'd like to see enhanced on the applicant tracking side of the system. We have put in requests on multiple years that they make those enhancements. We still have yet to see some of those enhancements come to fruition. So we're keeping an eye on the services and response in relation to this particular application. There could be a need in the future to make a change with this particular system, but in approving this agreement, we are able to provide 30 days notification of canceling this agreement. So I feel very comfortable in moving forward and continuing to utilize this particular software program until they're either able to provide those enhancements we've requested or until we identify another tool that would be economically affordable but would offer those enhancement features.
Okay. Well, hopefully if they're not performing to our expectations, we need to negotiate with them. All right, any questions anyone have? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? Other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner
Pass. Okay, going to item H8, authorization of standard form of agreement with John W. Irving Construction for ADA renovation of Extraco Event Center bid number 20-013. Ken?
Yes, sir. As just stated, this contract is a result of our bid 20-013 in the amount of $672,000. We did a budget amendment earlier in this work session. And CPNY has gone through it. We've gone through it. It should be good.
All right. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agreement with John W. Irving Construction?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Motion been made second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Pass. Under I is capital improvements. We have nothing today on that. Under J's real estate right of way and easements, we have nothing for court today. Under K's grants, under K1, we've already gone over that one.
Judge, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike contacted me, and I believe he sent an order down with Cody to give to Reagan. He would like it. It's just a more formal order for this grant, with given the fact of how it's applying through TDM and the regulations. He would like a specific order be approved. I can read that into the record, and then we can vote on it if that's okay.
Okay.
All right, it's an order of the McLennan County Commissioners Court approving grant agreement for Coronavirus Relief Fund through the Texas Division of Emergency Management. On June 2nd, 2020, came on before the McLennan County Commissioners Court the matter approving a grant agreement through the Texas Division of Emergency Management for Coronavirus Relief Funds that have been allocated for McLennan County. Execution of the agreement and exhibits thereto and other acknowledgments are required for receipt of the the CRF fund subject to the terms and conditions of the grant. It is hereby ordered and resolved by the Commissioners Court of McLennan County, Texas, that 1, the grant agreement and its attachment are approved. 2, the county judge is authorized to execute the grant agreement and any exhibits, certifications, or acknowledgments thereto. 3, the county judge and staff are directed to submit the executed grant agreement and the executed exhibits, certifications, or acknowledgments thereto to the Texas Division of Emergency Management for the CRF allocated to McLennan County, including to obtain initial release to the county of 20% of its CRF entitlement, subject to the terms and conditions of the grant agreement. Passed this second day of June 2020.
Okay, that's read into the record under, that'd be under item K1. Any questions anyone would have? Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Motion been made, second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for vote.
Commissioner Steele,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye. Aye.
Pass. Okay, going to, under K2 regarding the Criminal Justice Division of the Coronavirus Emergency Supplement Funding Program under K2A is discussion or action of additional funding request for the grant application. Justin, can you cover that?
Yes, sir. On May 19th, the court approved the submission of a grant application for emergency management to purchase items that would help with a potential alternate care site and additional PPE in case of a fall resurgence. Adult probation would also like to apply for this grant. The county is the agent and only one grant application can be submitted by the county. But we would like to include, if possible, adult probation in with our grant application. And these applications are due on June 15th.
Okay, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the additional funding request? I'll move. Is there a second? Second. Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under K2B, authorization of grant, resolution, and CEO law enforcement certification and assurance form. This is per requirements of the grant, resolution, and a CEO law enforcement certification and assurance form must be submitted along with the application. Is there a motion to approve the grant resolution for this grant?
So move.
Second.
Motion been made, second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Pass. Under K3 is regarding the coronavirus emergency supplemental funding program. This is acceptance of the grant award project number 2020-V DD-BX-0881. On April the 20th, the court approved the submission of the grant application for emergency supplemental funding related to the coronavirus. The county has been awarded $58,008 in grant funding to be used by the sheriff's office to ensure they provide adequate ways to prevent, prepare, and respond to the coronavirus during the next 2 years, while keeping all employees and inmates safe during that outbreak. So is there a motion to accept that award?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under K4 is regarding the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. This is a Title IV-E grant contract for child welfare services and authorization of Title IV-E child welfare services class. This quarter ended for, claim, not class. Our quarter ended December 31st of 19. Auditor's office submitted the Title IV claim, and for that quarter ending, total Fed reimbursement is $781.11. The certified state match is $501.70, and the total expenses Fed plus state is $1,282.81. Is there a motion to approve the Title IV Child Welfare Services claim?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Regarding the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, this is a Title IV-E grant contract for legal services, authorization of Title IV-E legal assistance claim. This is for the quarter ending 12/31/19. This amount, this assistance claim is for the reimbursement of legal services provided by the DA's office for CPS cases. Total Fed reimbursement is $42,624.16. The state is $42,624.15 for a total expenses of $85,248.31. Is there a motion to approve this Title IV-E legal assistant claim?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under K6, I think this is, this goes with item B1 on supplemental agenda. This is regarding the FEMA Public Assistance Program, the authorization of submission of reimbursement for COVID-19 emergency expenses. Due to the disaster declaration, the county is eligible to apply for reimbursement of the expenses for certain emergency measures taken in response to the COVID-19 health emergency. Public assistance reimbursement claims can be made by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA. If a reimbursement is granted, FEMA will cover 75% of the eligible expenses, and the local government entities will be responsible for the remaining 25%. What's the pleasure of the court? Is there a motion to approve the submission of the reimbursement for COVID-19 emergency expenses?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under L1's adult probation, ratification of cell phone rate plan change. Ken?
Yes, sir. We had adult probation under a very small plan, limited number of pooled minutes at $14.99 per month. With the advent of some of the things that are going on currently, their usage increased drastically, creating a huge overage amount, and we feel it's time for them to move up to a plan. And we have an unlimited plan at cost of $22.99 per month. plus the additional taxes and fees. And the department does have the budget to support this increase.
Okay, and did we already approve L2, Ken, on the additional hotspots?
No, sir, we haven't.
Go over it and we can get them both.
Yes, sir. Road and Bridge 2 department has requested 2 hotspots for their department. The devices themselves, again, are at no cost to us, but the service will cost $37.99 per month, plus the additional taxes and fees through Verizon.
Okay, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve L1 and L2? Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made, second, any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under L3, under Health Services Department, authorization of social media account request. So Heather Travers, yes, good morning.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Right now, I'm requesting that the court today give us permission to create and utilize social media accounts for the McLennan County Indigent Healthcare Program. More specifically, Facebook is what we plan to utilize at this time. And we're going to use it to advertise and educate the community members about the program, post and update any eligibility information, policy changes, any community events that we plan to participate in. And then we also plan to use it as a platform to search, locate, and notify next of kin, sometimes for paupers. So we plan to utilize the accounts, establish and operate them in accordance to the policies in place for that. And so any questions about that?
Okay, any questions? I think it's a good idea.
I do too.
Approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion been made, second, any other questions? If not, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's see, I think we, under L5, juvenile probation, authorization of cell phone request.
Yes, sir, they have a need for an additional cell phone for a placement counselor. The phone will be provided at no charge to the county. The service for this phone will be $39.99 per month, plus taxes and fees through Verizon. And again, the department does have a budget that will support this additional phone.
Any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Passed. Dropping down to item M, under M1, the discussion or action on matters regarding COVID-19. And there's I think a report, but is Elizabeth on the call today?
Yes, I'm here, Judge Bolton.
Give us an update if you would.
Yes, sir. Hold on just 1 second. All right. No. All right. As of yesterday, we had 10 active cases in McLean County. We had 2 new cases yesterday. There are no hospitalizations right now. We are actively monitoring 69 people, and there are 106 cases I've recovered as of today. We did, as everyone knows, there was confirmation there was a positive at Lakeshore Nursing Home. The Public Health District and the Waco Fire completed testing last Friday. They did get the results back from that, and 252 were negative, and there are 13 pending results from that testing. So
Expect those pending ones.
hopefully today, if not tomorrow.
How many do you have hospitalized right now?
None at this time.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Elizabeth, I've noticed that our testing is come down quite a bit in the last couple weeks. From a high of 180 a day back in the beginning of the month, middle of May, to 88 just in the last week. Is there any particular reason? Is there less requests or?
I don't know if there's any particular reason. It could be that people are getting tested because of maybe not as much term, lost interest in getting tested. But I know they are still reaching out to people to get testing. They're trying to encourage everybody. They're not limiting testing to that certain. I know at the very beginning we were encouraging people only that had certain symptoms. Now they've opened up that testing to meet more. They're a little more flexible with their criteria now at both the hospital systems as well as Family Health Center. But that's something we can follow up with the healthcare systems to see if they're seeing just a decrease overall in their testing.
I think one thing is the testing results were lagging way behind. And so there's maybe not as much testing talked about until they got that fixed. And it looks like they have.
Yeah.
But there was a delay.
Yes, and we're about to begin. We're working through meeting the governor's order to test the nursing home facilities. So we are in the process of starting that today, actually, to start testing the nursing home facilities listed from the governor's order for McLennan County.
But it's not due to lack of tests or anything like that?
No, sir. No, we actually, we've gotten test kits. The health district has also gotten test kits as well. So it is not for lack of test kits. It's just, it may be that people are just moving on, I guess you could say.
I'd just like for the record to show that we're only at about 2% positive on all of our tests.
It was less than that last week.
Well, if you average all of it together over the last, they do a rolling average and things like that. It's either, one.
Yeah, on 7 day average.
About 1%.
Yeah, it's 1%. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. Anything else, Elizabeth?
No, sir.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Of course.
Okay, under, let's see, I don't think there's a need for any action on M1, under M3s regarding McLennan County Group Health Plan authorization of revisions to the employee benefit plan and summary plan description. Amanda?
I think I got control of this mute button correctly this time. I wanted to let everyone know that we need to request to defer this item one more time. We are working to incorporate the language the court previously adopted related to the costs incurred for the COVID tests. So that is why we have a delay with this. We are nearly completed with that being approved by both the Scott and White legal team and our hub consultants. So we hope to have that for you next court session.
Okay, is there a motion to defer M3?
Motion to defer.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell, Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under M5, discussion or action regarding the McLennan County Facility Master Plan and office relocation. So if Zane and Ken and TJ would like to bring court up to date, well, please do so at this time.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So we're just going to talk about a couple of projects this morning that we kind of need to bring that back to the table and get the court's opinion on how you guys want to proceed, or even if you want to proceed. So first, you'll see we put in your packet the floor plans for the 4th floor project that involved the specialty court. Well, if you'll remember back, phase 2 of that project was actually in the old grand jury room to add a jury room, a meeting room, a men's and women's restroom, and a mother's room as well. Well, since the specialty court is up and operational, that kind of cuts off the 2 restroom facilities that we had up there on the 4th floor. So we're bringing this project back to the court to see if you guys want to reach out and get numbers associated with it, because we think it would be a good idea to add those restroom facilities to that floor to give more use of the space and to allow the folks in that area to utilize those restrooms. So do you guys have any opinions on that? Would you like for us to take it out for an official bid and get some numbers back?
I think when we first looked at that plan, I think that's where we were wanting to go to see what it, see what it costs. It does make sense from a standpoint of when we get back in full courthouse capacity that we need that, because many of the courthouse security were escorting people up there to use those restrooms. And now if there's a court going on, a court proceeding going on, whether it be a mental health court or Judge Hodges doing pleas or other things helping out the other courts, that people wouldn't be able to go into that courtroom to use both the men's and women's. There's a very small restroom at one end of the corridor there down by where you go into Judge Davis's office. And I guess there's a ladies on the other end, but very small. And so this would help. It would help. It would give another option for people when we're really busy to have access to restrooms. So I mean, I'd like to see us get the price on it and bring it back and where the court can look at it and some details on the plan itself.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely do that. And of course, that space up there has been vacant for a number of years now, and it's just basically it's just a waste. So this was a perfect opportunity to take that space and turn it into something functional.
Okay, any other thoughts anyone would have? So, got a plan? Okay, all right. What else?
Okay, so the second project we wanted to kind of bring back up to the court was the demolition and asbestos abatement of the downtown jail, as well as High Five over in the annex building. So you remember back, we ran some preliminary numbers up front. Looks like the demolition and the asbestos abatement is going to be somewhere between 650 and about 800,000. So we wanted to get the court back involved and possibly reach out and put together a bid package to get some firm numbers to bring back to you guys and let you kind of see where that's going to fall out in the big picture of things. So we wanted to kind of get your opinions on that and see if that was something you still were interested in doing.
That also accommodates the situation we have in district clerk's office where it's being tight in files, as well as what we're going to do in the DA's office, where needed expansion is there as well. And then obviously at some point, district courtrooms or replace courtrooms that are currently not accessible.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, we are crunched over in the annex building as far as space goes. You know, the DA's office is maxed out. The district clerk is kind of maxed out. And this, you know, if we were to proceed with this project, this would open up lots of avenues for us to gain more space throughout the county. So, I mean, it would definitely be valuable, in our opinion, as to gaining some more space.
Thoughts or questions anyone have? So I'm assuming the court would like to see the numbers. Okay.
Okay, so we'll start working on the bid package for that. The only other thing that we really wanted to bring up, the numbers had come back in pretty high on the Road and Bridge 2 building. So just so the court is aware, we're going to kind of bring that back in-house. We're going to kind of act as the general contractor on that one and sub it out to the different subs in order to bring those cost figures down and give Commissioner Miller exactly what she's needing. So we're going to start working on that pretty soon. Matter of fact, I'll meet with Commissioner Miller this afternoon, and we may even talk about breaking ground later this week. So if everything goes well.
Any questions on that? Okay.
That's about all I had. Zane, did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
I did a good job. Thanks, TJ.
TJ, give us an update on the garage out. What else is lacking on the garage relocation? It's about done, right? You're still.
Yeah, it's about done. We've got a few little minor things we need to do on the SWAT side to get their conference room set up. We've got some additional concrete going in front of the large storage building that we built for those guys. We're meeting with the oil distribution company this afternoon to look at running lines back to the oil tanks. But as far as everything goes, we got the air compressors and the lifts and everything hooked up late last week. So they're kind of up and operational, not to full capacity, but I mean, to a minimal right now. And I would say in the next week to week and a half, they should be ready to move on business as usual.
Okay. Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, under M6 regarding the July 14, 2020 Democratic Republican joint primary runoff election, this authorization of notice of joint primary runoff election in related order for early voting dates, times, and locations for election day vote centers. So Kathy on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've given you the notice in order for the July 14th election. We do have a few changes. One is that we've added 5 days to the early voting period. Also, because of the COVID-19, we've had some locations that are not available. One of those is our early voting site. First Assembly of God was not available. So we looked at West Waco Library, which is booked. And we also looked at the Episcopal Church of the Holy Spirit. Well, they were willing to let us use it, but they were waiting to see when they were going to open their doors. And they've decided as of last week that they're not able to open their doors yet to the public. So we're going to be going with Waco High School, the Performing Arts Center, for our early voting site for that area. On election day, and also for early voting, we will be using the Hewitt City Hall / library in place of the Hewitt Public Safety Facility. I think that will be a permanent change for both election day and early voting. Their police department uses the facility for training purposes that we were using for an early voting and election day site. And so they prefer us to move it to the City Hall and library, which is next door. And that'll be a permanent move. In November, we will be going back to First Assembly of God for early voting, excuse me, in place of Waco High. On election day, we also have some changes for this election. The West Community Center is under construction at this point, so we'll be using the West High School, Middle High School for this election. Also, MCC is not opening their doors until August, so it's not available as a election day vote center for this election. Also, Waco Convention Center has a convention that's going in there that's taken up the entire convention center. So they suggested we use the Waco Hilton. We contacted them and they said they're not opening their doors. Initially they said yes, but then they have had some cancellations, so they're not opening their doors until August either. So with that, we will be moving forward with this July 14th election and our first election to go through after the COVID-19 closure. So just would like you to approve the notice and order for this election. The party chairs have already signed off on all these changes, and we just need to approve it since the county pays for early voting.
Kathy, what's the first date of early voting?
June 29th.
Okay,
It'll
thank you.
be June 29th through Thursday, July 2nd, 8 to 5. Will be Sunday, July 5th. Will be closed the 5th and the 3rd and 4th for the 4th of July holiday. Sunday will be there from 1 to 6, July 5th. And then Monday, July 6th through Friday, July 10th, 7 to 7.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve the notice and order for the joint primary runoff election?
So move.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Steele,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Under M7 is regarding the establishment of a regulatory traffic sign on Apache Trail of Precinct 4. We'll have a public hearing on that. So we'll have it right now. So the public, this is establishment of a yield sign on Apache Trail at the intersection of Comanche. So at this time, the hearing will open. And I do not see anyone here for the hearing. So the hearing is closed. Under M7B is consideration or action to approve establishment of a regulatory traffic sign on Apache Trail. Is there a motion to approve establishment of a yield sign on Apache Trail at the intersection of Comanche Trail?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Wilson,
Aye.
I'm sorry, I was voting.
Pass. Okay, do what? I couldn't hear.
I couldn't hear.
Yeah,
We voted.
good.
okay.
You had three anyway.
Almost out for break. Okay, going to item M8, authorization to submit request for unclaimed capital credits. The Texas Controller of Public Accounts under section 74.602 of the Texas Property Code and Local Government Code section 381.004. The Controller of Public Accounts sent a letter indicating that the county could possibly have a portion of the unclaimed capital credits for electric from electric cooperatives. The controller requires that the county submit a form stating that we wish to receive the funds, which will be used in compliance with the Local Government Code 381.004. And the deadline for this request is July 31st. Anyone have any questions on that? Is there a motion to approve the submission of requests for the unclaimed capital credits?
Motion to approve.
Motion, second. Discussion. No discussion, call for vote.
Commissioner Smell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Terry.
Aye.
Pass. Under N, Americans with Disability Compliance Project, no report there. Under O, is McLennan County Venue Project authorization of phase 1, 2, and phase 3, including but not limited to O1s regarding the architectural service agreement with Populous authorizing professional service invoices, pay applications, schematic design documents, and acceptance of reports, updates, and related matters. And we have nothing to say on that. Under O2s regarding the construction manager at risk agreement with John W. Irwin, General Contractor Incorporated, authorization applications, certificates for payment agreement and addendums. This is under O2A's authorization application of certificate for payment number 16. And this amount is for payment 16 is $2,257. $2,257,377. And Ken, all this has been inspected by the.
Yes, it has. Populous is pay out in our agreement.
No, you've reviewed them.
And I've reviewed.
Okay. Any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the application and certificate for payment number 16?
Motion to approve.
I have motion and second. Any discussion? Discussion call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under O3 is regarding professional service agreement related to construction materials testing proposal with Langerman Foster Engineering Company, authorization of invoice number 11776. This is for additional testing in the amount of $5,918 for related work for the venue project. Is there any questions anyone have? Is there a motion to approve the Langerman Foster Engineering Company payment?
So moved.
Motion been made. Second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. Call for.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under item P of McLennan County Radio Tower Project, we have nothing this week. Under supplemental agenda, under B, under grants and grant proposals, under B1's the FEMA Public Assistance Grant agreement related to documents with the Texas Division on Emergency Management. Is there a motion to approve the grant agreement?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made. Second. Any other discussion? Any discussion? Call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under work session items, you've got a report in there under Q1 regarding criminal justice issues regarding to the electronic monitoring status. I don't see anything else under work sessions unless someone has something. And I think we need to go to executive session item. And, pardon me. What I did? Under item M2. Under M2, selection or designation of public members of salary grievance committee.
Amy Wiggins. Candace Johnson. Jeremy L. Sprayberry. Luca Chavarria. Daniel Dan E. Mayfield. Chelsea Renee Marino. Kelvin Edison. Janice Tice.
Okay. All right, anything else? Do what? Yeah, which is Adam. That's Adam, pardon me? E16. Okay, under E6B, this time I'd like to go into executive session under 551.076 of the Government Code and deliberations regarding security devices or security audits. And I'd like for Lisa to stay in and to Justin Chapman stay on the Zoom as well.
And Brandon Suggs.
And Brandon, yeah, IT guy.
3 or 4 minute recess.
Yeah, we will, let's go into a 5-minute recess and then we'll come back and finish up.
Okay, so just those inside the executive session meeting, breakout room or on the phone? Okay. We just need to confirm that.
Amanda says we can still hear you.
Okay, that's what I want to confirm, if we're being heard or not.
Is Amanda supposed to be in executive session too?
Not in this one.
Okay, but she was listed.
Well, that's because we thought we were gonna have personnel under executive session, and we decided, we deferred her item.
Everybody's letting me know.
Tell her, go back to her nap. She obviously was sleeping there.
We believe we're in executive session now?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
PA support's not in, it's not supposed to be in an executive session, right? Yeah.
That's it. St. Joseph phone.
Yeah, CC, IT support, and then our respective. All I can do now is push a button.
Let's push it.
Drive, it is not
Yes, sir. So this is a report to make the court aware of what our current completion rate is. As of May 28th, our overall training progress is 94% for McLennan County. We've got 48 different groups that are participating, throughout the county. Of those, we have 36 that have reached their 100%. We have 12 remaining groups that we are currently working with, trying to get those completed before our deadline of June 14th, 2020. So we will take a final compilation of those results and be prepared to make that report to DIR on June 15th. I will let you know that DIR currently does not have an allowance for a partial rating. It is an all or none. So we will submit that response at that time. So we'll send out one more reminder, and like I said, stay in touch with those outstanding departments and hopefully be able to achieve. Yes, sir. Mhm. Okay, we can do that. And for recording purposes, because we are required locally to maintain that record, for auditing purposes, we can submit the final report for recording on the next agenda as well. But we will send it to you individually. It will. Yeah, just so that you have it on record where we stood for that period. Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the report for the motion and second, any discussion? No discussion, call for the vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Okay, is there anything else to come before the court today? If not, we stand adjourned.